You ever notice how you can throw on Die Hard or The Matrix today and it feels fresh? But you rewatch any recent Marvel movie and it already looks like a bargain bin DVD at Walmart? Yeah, there's a reason. Movies today feel like eating a plastic cheeseburger. Sure, it's shiny, it's got the right shape, but take a bite and it's like chewing on disappointment with a side of corporate ketchup. Meanwhile, the movies from the 80s and 90s, they still hit like a truck full of VHS tapes. But why? Well, buckle up, because we're about to take a nostalgia-fueled road trip to figure out why Die Hard ages like fine wine, while Captain Marvel feels like warm skim milk. Back then, directors didn't have the fix-it in post-crutch. You wanted an alien? You built a slimy rubber puppet and sprayed it with KY jelly until it looked scary. And guess what? It worked. Compare that to today. Every blockbuster looks like it was filmed inside a green screen shoebox with actors staring at tennis balls and pretending it's Galactus. No wonder the CGI looks fake 6 months later. Technology moves fast, rubber monsters don't. Back then, when you saw a car explode, it actually exploded. The stuntman probably retired with third-degree burns, but damn it, it was glorious. Now, it's all fake. Every explosion looks like it was copied and pasted from the same Adobe After Effects preset. Jurassic Park in 1993, those dinosaurs still look real today. She-Hulk in 2022, well, I guess it's better to just try to forget about that show. In the 80s and 90s, heroes started flawed and grew. John McClane was a washed-up cop with a failing marriage. Ripley was just a warrant officer who had to rise to the occasion. Neo was literally a cubicle slave who became the one. Now, characters come out of the box flawless. They're empowered, brilliant, always right. Great. Congratulations. You've written a character with the emotional depth of a TikTok dance. Nobody remembers perfect people. We remember the ones who struggle and change. Back in the 80s and 90s, heroes were human. They sweated, they bled, they cracked one-liners that weren't made by soy-feed activists. John McClane was not some invincible superhero. He was just a pissed-off cop with no shoes. That weakness made him relatable. Compare that to modern blockbusters, where characters walk through explosions like they're in a deodorant commercial. It's not inspiring, it's boring. You can't root for a character who never struggles. It's like watching Superman fight a goldfish. Movies back then had stakes. Things mattered. If the villain wins, people die, the town burns, and the puppy gets it. Today, it's CGI space goo threatening the multiverse. Again, the emotional investment is gone. In Terminator 2, Sarah Connor wasn't just fighting robots, she was fighting for her son's future. In modern films, half the time, I don't even know what the hero's fighting for, besides the studio's bottom line. Old movies told stories. Back to the Future isn't trying to sell you a moral lecture. It's just about a kid in a puffer vest making sure his mom doesn't fall in love with him. Weird? Yes. Memorable? Absolutely. Today's movies, they feel like Twitter threads with a budget. No, they're obsessed with being relevant, but relevancy ages faster than memes. When you watch Top Gun, it doesn't scream 1986 politics at you. It just screams, holy crap, jets are awesome. Today's plots are like fast food, cheap, easy, and guaranteed to give you indigestion. Studios in the 80s and 90s let directors cook. James Cameron spent all the money on Titanic and nearly sank his career, but it became the biggest movie ever. The Wachowskis rewired the reality with The Matrix. Today, every blockbuster is pre-chewed by committee. They're not movies, they're content. Safe, predictable, focus group approved. And you feel it. They also had music that slapped. Name a soundtrack from the last 5 years that people actually hum. Now think about any Terminator, The Lion King, The Matrix, and Keaton's Batman. The scores defined those films. They weren't background noise. They were part of the soul. Today, most soundtracks feel like they were generated by an AI trained on elevator music. And here's the real kicker, the culture. Movies back then weren't trying to sell you a lecture with your popcorn. They were fun, they were dangerous, and they didn't care about offending Karen in row 3. You had gritty action, cheesy one-liners, and unapologetic swagger. Compare that to today, where every script reads like it was fact-checked by HR. It's no wonder people are rewatching Back to the Future instead of lining up for the next Marvel movie. So why do 80s and 90s movies age better? Because they gave us real characters, real stakes, real explosions, and a sense of cultural honesty that modern films are terrified of. They weren't afraid to take risks, and they sure as hell weren't afraid to be entertaining. Modern Hollywood is trying to sell you homework with CGI frosting. The 80s and 90s, they just gave you a damn good time. And that's why we'll keep rewinding the classics while today's films are already in the bargain bin. Old movies endure because they had guts, creativity, and heart. They weren't perfect, but they matter. Today's movies, they feel like they were designed in a corporate lab to sell you action figures and streaming subscriptions, which actually just might be true.